And then he says, for it is written in the book of Psalms. Now, Peter is speaking specifically, for it is written in the book of Psalms. Now, remember in the earlier verse, he says, as a scripture. Let me go back here. In verse number 16. Men and brethren, this scripture must needs have been fulfilled. Now, if you look all over that verse in the earlier verse and the verse following, it's like, what scripture? But when we get to verse number 19, he actually shows us. For it is written in the book. Actually give the book. Where in the previous verse is the scripture without a reference. Here, for it is written in the book of Psalms. So I know that it's going to be in the book of Psalms. Let his habitation be desolate, and let no man dwell therein. Now, one would think, if they didn't research, that in the book of Psalms, let his habitation be desolate and let no man dwell therein, would be a verse, or at least in the same passage. But what Peter does is he pulled together two separate passages from the Psalms in this one verse, in verse 20. What are they? Peter referenced two different passages. He referenced Psalm 69:25, let their habitation be desolate and let none dwell in their tents. See, this is what he said in the verse 20. Okay? And then he says, and let no man dwell therein, verse number, and his bishopric let another take. So what I did is I broke that verse down. The actual verse says, it's what it says in verse number 19, of verse number 20. For it is written in the book of Psalms, let his habitation be desolate, and let no man dwell therein, and his office let another take. And so in one verse, in Psalm 69:25, he deals with the first part of verse 20, and then in Psalms 109, verse 8, he deals with the second part of verse 20. Let his days be few, and let another take his office. So you see what the writer does here, or Peter, he's pulling two verses together. Now the average person won't even stop for a moment to do this, what I just did. And this is why I say to you, whenever you see, for the scripture says, or it's written, you want to know, where is it written? You want to know, where is it written? Because let me tell you what happens in your conversations. Can I tell you what happens in your conversations? You talk about the Bible without opening the Bible. You have hours of conversation about scripture and you never crack the scriptures. You ever ran across one of those people, it's like they're ragu Christians. It's in there. Or is that ragu? Yeah, it's in there. They want to tell you about a scripture. Well, where is that at? I don't know, brother, but I know it's in there. Well, what are we talking about? You have such confidence on a verse of scripture and you're making an argument and you don't even know where it's at. Why am I even arguing with you? Why are we having this conversation? How can you talk about the word and not put the word in the conversation? At least let's get on the same page in the verse we're talking about. Oh, no, we don't want to do that. We just want to have willy-nilly conversations about the word. No. If you're going to have a conversation about the word, at least pull the word out and let's see what we're talking about here. Because you have hours and hours and hours of dialogue and be so far off and wonder why you can't come to the conclusion, well, we just agree to disagree. You agree to disagree on what? Pull the scriptures out. Wherever you see, it is written. Now, I'm doing this to help you in your search of scripture. Don't read over verses like this.
For more information, visit www.arthurbaileyministries.com or call 888-899-1479. This program is made possible through financial contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.